Hello everybody, SlimKirby here, and welcome to the third edition of the Pokemon Go log series. Also, I am not SlimKirby, I am Pokemon Trainer Rob. I don't know how I keep screwing that up. Well, I guess it does make sense. I say SlimKirby like 95% of the time, and only Pokemon Trainer Rob during a Pokemon video, so I guess it makes sense. But anyway, today we're going to be going through the third log for my Pokemon Go series, where basically every now and then I make an update on how my Pokemon Go progress is going. Then I also talk about some things in relation to Pokemon Go, usually some of the more recent updates and gameplay mechanics and stuff of that nature, and we pretty much leave it at that. Unfortunately though, this is not the first time I've tried making this video. I've gone through so many takes of this, and when I actually had a take I was okay with, I don't know, for some reason the file I was using to work on this got deleted somehow. I don't know how, I don't know why. I have been all over my my computer search looking for those files, but they've seriously just disappeared. Every place where they could be, they're not there. I even used like just the deep search of my computer to look for anything related Pokemon, but it's just come up empty. And because of that, I really don't want to do all of that editing and all of that recording again. It was just really annoying and really tedious. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify potentially the largest part of the video, which was basically going over all of my captures and all of my catches over the last 3 weeks. Instead of doing it the way I was doing it, I'm just going to do like a little montage of all the pictures and just kind of show off all of the Pokemon that I've gotten. I'll also toss in a few funny pictures in as well, and I'll just use that for my basic progress over the last 3 weeks. If you want to know like the numbers and figures that are involved, when I last recorded I had 53 Pokemon on the Pokedex and I was at level 15. Now I have 75 Pokemon on the Pokedex and I'm at level 21. So since then I've gained 6 levels and I've gained 22 Pokemon. So I have made a decent amount of progress, but I seriously feel like a lot of my progress has been hampered by, well, first of all, the Pokemon radar issue that only recently got fixed somewhat. So, you know, it's been a lot harder to find Pokemon. And I feel like a large majority of the new Pokemon I've gotten are from evolutions and hatching eggs and stuff of that nature. Although maybe not, I don't know. This was kind of in also the early days of PokeVision when I used that pretty heavily. But before, like, those sites didn't really help anymore, and when they were starting to be taken down by Niantic, so I couldn't really get a whole lot of Pokemon through those methods, but definitely in the early days, in the prime of those sites existing, I definitely used them to a fair degree. A lot of people would determine that as cheating, I guess, but I wouldn't say it's really cheating, and I'll get into that a little bit later in this video. I kind of see it like, well, you're still going to have to go out and get the Pokemon. They're not just going to appear like right where you are. So you're still going to have to go out and do the work. And for the most part, there were still like many days where I actually went on Pokemon adventures myself, because obviously just getting new Pokemon's not going to get you to level up every single time. It definitely helps, but right now I need like 75,000 experience points just to go up a level, and I have to catch a lot of Pokemon that I've already gotten numerous times to actually help me get to the levels that I am at this moment. So there is definitely a lot of legwork involved in leveling up, but as far as getting new Pokemon, it's really just a process of, oh, hey, do you see a Pokemon on the radar? Well, just go after it. And in terms of PokeVision, it's, oh, okay, I see a Pokemon, let's go after it. You're still essentially doing the legwork, you're still going out to get it. So I don't really see it as cheating so much, but I can understand why a lot of people think it would make it kind of easy mode, because it does tell you exactly where it is. But I digress, because those sites are no longer in business anymore, so there's not really a whole lot you can say about that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go to the clip montage of all of the most recent and newest catches I've gotten over the last 3 weeks. So hope you enjoy. I guess the next thing I'll talk about is my Pokemon team, I guess you could say. Basically, whenever I try to take over a gym or something, these are the Pokemon that will usually see combat. Just because they're over 1,000 CP, they have pretty good moves, and they can actually sustain a hit or two, even from very, very powerful Pokemon. So as you can see, there is a very common theme here. There are 5 evolutions here. 2 of which are used twice even. The reason being is that evolutions are really, really good in Pokemon Go. Not just in terms of the type coverage, but also EVs are more common to find than you think they would be. And not only that, you can find them at pretty high CP, and when you evolve them, they'll get a huge, massive amount of it as well. That Flareon you see up there at over 1,400 CP, I have not given that any candy yet. That was a straight up 550 EV that just, when I evolved it, it just got that much CP when it evolved. So, yeah, you just have the capabilities of getting these evolutions at very, very high CP values, and that's why you see a lot of gyms that have evolutions in them, is because they're the easiest ones to raise, and you get them at very, very powerful levels with very powerful moves. Hell, I believe Vaporeon is actually broken in a lot of respects. Like, Vaporeon is very, very dangerous, even just compared to the other evolutions, because the 2 Vaporeons that I have double the HP of the other evolutions that I have, even the 1,400 Flareon as well. So very, very strong those evolutions are. I kind of hope they get nerfed even more so in future updates of Pokemon Go, because this is kind of ridiculous that they can just kill everything. We also have that Hypno that I caught near the very beginning of my Pokemon Go experience. That's coming along great. If you think about it, I've raised up his CP like dangerous amounts from like when it was a 400 CP Hypno when I first caught it. It was either 400 or 600, but regardless, I've put a lot of candy and Stardust into that Hypno, and I figure that, you know, I might as well keep it going, because he's been essentially, he's like my starter Pokemon. He isn't, but I've had him since pretty much near the beginning. I've also had Mist the Vaporeon for a long time, but Hypno was like the orig. Fernando the Hypno was like one of my first hard hitters on my team. Then you also have Edward, the Scyther, Sparkman, the Electabuzz, and I also have a Pidgeot named Dynablade that I got from a very high Pidgey that I found one day, that I just decided to use all the leftover candy that I had to evolve it, and sure enough it went over 1,000, so I'm like, I'll just go ahead and put this here too. And as you can see, I favorited them all too. So these are the guys that pretty much take care of any gems I feel like taking down, and they've been a good bunch. There are some definite weaknesses to my team. I definitely feel like there are some type coverages I'm missing, but I feel like I'll definitely get over that in time. In fact, I got a Lickitung recently that knows Grass Whip, and it has like a lot of really high HP too, so I could potentially see that Lickitung being added to this group as well. But I don't know, it's only 800 CP, and I feel like you need to have over 1,000 to do some of these gym battles. But yeah, just thought you guys would like to take a look at my team, I guess you could call it. Again, it's hard to really call this my team because the Pokemon gym battles are not like traditional Pokemon battles where you have like 6 versus 6. It's more like just, you know, whenever I get into a Pokemon battle, you'll probably see these faces. That's really all it is. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. So for the rest of this video, and trust me, we've gone a very long time into this video, I just want to very quickly go over a few things that have been happening in the world of Pokemon Go, and talk about a few other things that I have noticed, or some other things I feel like changing. I'm not going to go into a whole Q&A session. I know I asked for questions at the end of the last Pokemon log video, but only one person asked a question. So I'll go ahead and, I guess, first get that question out of the way. The person who asked the question actually asked me, how do you feel about region-specific Pokemon? Now, I was a little confused, so I'll just answer from both perspectives. I didn't know if they were talking about like Tauros being exclusive to North America, Mr. Mime being exclusive to Europe, Farfetch'd to Asia, and Kangaskhan to Australia. But if that was what they were talking about, I will go ahead and say that I'm honestly fine with that because, well, you can still get the Pokemon even if you don't live in those areas. You just have to get them from eggs. And if anything, I think that actually diversifies the Pokemon lineups a little bit. I kind of hope from other generations they kind of do that as well. But again, I really hope you can still get them from eggs, though. I don't want there to ever be a Pokemon where it's like, oh, well, you have to visit Europe to get this Pokemon. I think that'd be really, really crappy, and I think it would really heavily unbalance the playing field, where basically only people who go on cross-country trips could actually get. So I am definitely against that. But if they were referring to in terms of, like, for example, finding a lot of water Pokemon in water areas, finding grass Pokemon in a lot of grassy areas, and stuff of that nature, again, I feel like that you should be able to get every single Pokemon. While I think it would make sense to, again, find water Pokemon in a lot of water places, and while it would make sense to find a lot of, like, hot climate Pokemon in climates like deserts and stuff like that, they should still be available, at least to some extent, to people who don't live near those areas. I never feel like anyone should have to, like, go on a plane ride or drive cross-country to actually get certain Pokemon. I think that's kind of ridiculous, and I don't think they should ever do that. But, you know, I do understand why they would do that. It would make it a bit more logical, where you could find, oh, hey, we have a cactus Pokemon. We'll probably only find these in deserts. Like, I do understand why that would be the case, but I hope they don't go super hardcore down that route, because I think it would heavily, like I said, imbalance the playing field. So yeah, that is that question. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the video. Make sure not to turn this into a huge question and answer series, because as you can see, I can talk for a very long time, so I'm not going to have a lot of time to address many questions in one video. But I'm basically just going to go over the video comments before I do one of these, kind of look at a few key questions, and if there's any I feel like really answering or talking about, I'll go for them. So don't make that a huge thing. Only ask a question if you really, really want a question answered, and make sure it's relevant to Pokemon Go, because that's kind of important. But yeah, now that I've gone over that, I'm going to go over a few other things. The first thing I want to talk about is the new Pokemon Go radar. For a while, like for a week and a half, 2 weeks, there was no radar at all on Pokemon Go, which didn't really make too much of a difference because, as you guys know, the radar was broken long before that for many, many weeks. We were all hoping for a fix, but then when the July 30th update came out, they completely removed the radar. Everybody was angry. They said they'd never play Pokemon again, or Pokemon Go again. They were giving Niantic a lot of threats that they needed to put the radar back and stuff of that nature. I do think it is all very, very silly to get that bent out of shape. But at the same time, I do agree with the message, I guess, in terms that I do think the radar made it a lot more fun for Pokemon Go users. Like I said many times, the tracking Pokemon is my favorite aspect of the game. Being able to see a Pokemon on the radar and actually trying to hunt it and track it down. I just think that's really, really cool, and I think that's what makes the game so much fun, at least for me. And when they got rid of the radar, it really disappointed me, because it's like, I want to do this, and it's kind of a shame to see that this really cool feature didn't really have much of a future. But I also thought logically that, maybe they're just taking it down because they're trying to fix it. And sure enough, during the, God, I don't even remember the date anymore when they made this update, but the most recent update where they added a tracking system back into the game, I am very, very happy to see it return. I think they are going down a really good direction for the tracker. What I think they really did to improve it is that it has a much narrow area in terms of the Pokemon that appear on the radar. So like before, when the radar wasn't really working right, there'd be a bunch of Pokemon on the radar, but you would never know where they are. You would never know if you get close to them, and they could be like quite literally on the other side of town instead of where you are in your town at that point in time. Now I feel like they've narrowed that area down a lot, so like Pokemon that are on the radar are actually close to you. Like you don't have to go way out of your way to actually get to the Pokemon, and I think that's great. I think that's a good way to do it. I just wish they'd give you a little more assistance in terms of direction, so you don't like necessarily go in the wrong way and then miss your chance to get the Pokemon. But as far as a start, I do love this start, and I think they are going in the right direction for sure. And there is a more advanced version of the radar coming where you can actually see Pokemon at Pokestops, where instead of like the little grass icon, you'll see like the Pokestop in the background, and you'll have to actually go to that Pokestop to find that Pokemon. I also like that idea. I feel like it does make it a bit easier, and apparently there's this whole like treasure map aspect of it as well for those types of Pokemon. But, I think it is another good direction. I'd like to actually see what that's about and actually use that. Unfortunately, only certain users have that ability. I believe they only updated that to certain users who live in, like, San Francisco, I think. I don't know. Not, like, a huge majority of the players don't even have this feature yet. So, I can't really speak too much from a personal experience about this. But, again, I think it is a really unique way, and I'd like to see what they actually do with that. So as far as the radar is concerned, it was my biggest concern in the last log video. I do like the way they're going with it, and I think it will definitely improve the experience. And I think Pokemon Go's growth will continue to develop over the next few weeks because of this change. So I do really, really like that they did that. Okay, the next thing I want to very briefly talk about is I want to go over the PokeVision and Pokemon radar sites and all of the controversy that was kind of created with them over the past few weeks, especially when they were shut down by Niantic. I just want to very quickly give my thoughts on that. I'm very, very neutral on the whole thing. For one, I do give credit to where credit's due, and I think PokeVision did actually save Pokemon Go. I feel like a lot of people were just getting really, really frustrated with the radar being broken. They would go out on Pokemon adventures looking for stuff. They'd see something they wanted, but they would never be able to get it because they had no idea where to walk or where to go. And it was such a random crapshoot that, you'd only get what you'd go out for like 5% of the time. And that was usually the case with me too, honestly. So it was a very, very frustrating aspect of the game, and I really do feel like PokeVision stepped up and actually helped the game give it a little more longevity during a period of time where the game was definitely in a decline or a depression of sorts. So I do really appreciate what PokeVision was trying to accomplish. I think they helped a lot of people. I think they even helped Niantic a lot by having those services up in the first place. But when Niantic shut it down, they definitely lost a little more favor. And when I say them, I mean Niantic, because a lot of people were pissed that they shut down the PokeVision sites. However, here's the thing. I do also see where Niantic is coming from as well, because that is not how they intended for the game to be played. The only problem is, the way they intended for the game to be played wasn't exactly working either. But at the same time, they do have a terms of service for a reason, and in those terms of service, they do say that you can't play with the code and develop your own apps around that code. Like, you'd have to make your own fresh code. You can't just, like, go into the game and kind of, like, link it to other sites or other apps. You're not allowed to do that. And in that right, PokeVision was definitely breaking those rules, along with all of the other sites out there. So while PokeVision did have good intentions, at the same time, it was still against the rules, and I think they had every right to be shut down. However, I don't think it's all bad, because with the way this new radar is going that Niantic is working on, I think it's going to actually be really, really good, so I don't think there would be a need for those sites anyway. However, to kind of shut them down during the period of time where the radar wasn't working and they had no radar whatsoever, I can see why a lot of people were mad, and they were definitely really, really mad. However, I'm someone who's looking at things from a very realistic perspective, and I do know how the law works, and the law works in a very basic mindset where you can't break the law no matter what. You have to obey the rules. If you disobey the rules, you get in trouble. And I think Niantic was very, very nice to PokeVision in actually letting them know that, you know, we do not like what you're doing. Can you please remove your site? And I think that PokeVision had a very good sportsmanship attitude about the whole thing, because they even said that if Niantic had a problem with this, we would remove our site, and that's exactly what they did. And I think that's what we need to be focusing on. Nothing really, really bad happened because of that. Now, if you look at it from a stance, and if like Niantic actually like got PokeVision in trouble, like if they actually sent them the court or something, you know, like they'd be able to do that, I feel like. But at the same time, that would be very scummy of them to do that. But at the same time, like I said, you can't break the law, and PokeVision was taking a very, very big risk by actually creating their app and their program to actually work alongside Pokemon Go. But at the same time, you know, we did get some use out of it. It did help us get some Pokemon. It helped me get a lot of Pokemon, and I do really appreciate their existence. But I am definitely much more looking forward to the future of the Pokemon Go radar, because I think that's going to be really, really good. It's going to bring back tracking, the aspect of the game I love most anyway. And honestly, if it had tracking from the get-go and it kept tracking from the get-go, I would have never used PokeVision in the first place anyway. Again, it's a very weird situation. There's many different perspectives you can look at it from. I don't claim to be a master of the legal system. I'm sure there are some little clauses in there that could protect PokeVision, but at the same time, it's still like there's a reason why they have those terms of service. I know they're very, very long to read and nobody does read them, but all of this stuff is covered in those terms of service. And it has to be long and boring, because if they didn't have the terms of service, people could violate all of this, and honestly, Niantic could be losing a lot of paying customers in that fashion, because then people could just rip off the code entirely, make their own game with the same exact coding, and essentially put Niantic out of business because they just have other games out there. So I don't know. I don't want to go into a big legal thing like this. This is just the way I see it. Obviously, like I said, I'm not a big legal aficionado or anything like that, but there's a lot of different things you have to look at as far as the situation is concerned. And, you know, I'm just kind of looking at it from the stance that I do appreciate what PokeVision did, but at the same time, I'm not going to be crying hysterically that they had to go away either, because there is the law for a reason. And that's pretty much all I need to say about that. Okay, so let's try to actually put this log video to rest. Final thoughts, I do think Pokemon Go is going to start making some advancements. I think a lot of people are going to start picking up the game again, a lot of those who put it down when the radar stopped working. And I'm really excited to see how this new radar system is going to work. So things I'm most excited about, I am actually really looking forward to the radar. I think that it's a big improvement, and knowing that there's going to be more updates to it gets me excited to see what else is going to be added to it. I think it's going to be a great part of the game. I've said this a million times, but the tracking part will always be my favorite part of the game, and I'm really looking forward to see how that will play out. As for things I don't really like about the game, Right now, I am kind of in a slump where I can't really take over gyms because potion availability is really, really crappy. You cannot buy potions at all from the in-game store where you make those online transactions or whatever. So you basically can only get potions from Pokestops, and most of the time you will probably not even get potions from Pokestops. So I'm still trying to heal up my Pokemon from a vicious gym battle, and just one gym battle that I had like 2 days ago. So I really feel like potions need to be more available. I think it's kind of ridiculous that you can get revives easier than you can get potions, when I feel like potions are going to be more necessary than revives, and they're also more common than revives in the actual Pokemon game too. I think that's really, really weird because I'm just kind of at a point where I can't do gym battles right now. And it's a shame because I was starting to come around to the gym battles as well. I think it's kind of a cool way to actually fight now that I actually understand the gym battle mechanic a little more, and I actually understand the stats of Pokemon a little more. I think it does make the gym battles a little more fun, but you know, I can't exactly do the gym battles because my most powerful Pokemon are hurt, and I need those Pokemon to actually stand a chance against the people who own the gyms. I swear, there's like 2 gyms now that have like over 5 or 6 Pokemon that are like really, really high 1000 CP Pokemon, so there's like nothing I can do. And I can't do anything until I get like all of my Pokemon healed up and I get an excess of potions where I can actually fight again. And even then, there's a case where I may not be able to even recover from that. So I think it's definitely a thing of the game that's very imbalanced. You know, and that could be just with the whole gym mechanic in general. It's kind of just imbalanced the way it is right now anyway. But I would definitely like to see some improvements on that front. Maybe, like, after you win a Pokemon battle, you should get, like, a chance to, like, heal all of your Pokemon if you win. And if you lose, maybe you have to, like, manually heal all your Pokemon. Maybe that would be a little better, but then I guess that also bring the question of, well, if you do win one battle, you can pretty much win all the others, because you have to do the battle again with one less Pokemon to deal with, and that makes it easier. So I don't know. Maybe there is a way you can make it more balanced, but I don't know a way off the top of my head. But I do think that is kind of a low point, is that I can't heal my Pokemon. I can't even do battle with my Pokemon right now because I can't get potions. And they're just so rare to get as they are. And I have the availability for potions, hyper potions, and super potions. So I can get 3 types of potions, but I still feel like I can't get any of them. And that's just kind of a problem, I think. So, with that being said, I think that's all I'm going to be doing for this log video. This is a really long log video. My voice really, really hurts. I need to grab like 5 bottles of water and just drink for the next hour or something. But I want to thank all of you for listening. Have fun playing Pokemon Go. If you have any questions about the game you want me to answer for the next part, please do so in the video description or video comments section below. And as far as the next log video is concerned, I guess this is where I'll start making it a monthly thing. So I guess I'll see you guys next month in September. And until then, this has been Pokemon Trainer Rob. I will see you guys next time. Have a good night. Later, folks.